Hey, welcome back to the Big Ranch Show. Thank you for joining me. Now, one thing that didn't get into the coronavirus relief package was a $15 minimum wage hike. They were looking to increase the minimum wage to $15 an hour, which seems like it'd be an awesome thing for most workers. You had a lot of outcry, a lot of people crying and whining about it, saying, well, that's not fair to the other people that are already making $15 an hour. Which is a big load of BS, and we all know it. Then they claim, oh, the inflation will explode. Well, not the way they were looking to do it. Raising it from $7.25 to $15 over the course of 5 years would have rather limited the inflation, which has happened before. But even waiting that long was not going to have that big of an effect. The fact is, we need a minimum wage increase, and we need it now. We have people who are living in poverty when they work multiple jobs, 40 hours a week, 80 hours a week, 2 or 3 jobs sometimes, and they can still barely make rent. And they are still having to use federal funds for SNAP and housing assistance. Meanwhile, they're working 3 or 4 jobs. Why? Because nobody gets paid what they're worth. Nobody gets paid a living wage down that around $7.25 an hour. There's not a place in this country where you can afford rent on minimum wage. And some people say, oh, but Jake, it's only supposed to be for people who are like teenagers and stuff and college kids. But that's not the reality. That is not the reality of the minimum wage. That is not the reality of the people receiving a minimum wage. You've got parents. You've got older people who have lost their jobs due to other reasons, say COVID. But all in all, you've got a lot of people who are adults who have been working their entire life still making right around minimum wage or just above. You're telling me that person that picks up the garbage from your sidewalk doesn't deserve $15 an hour at least? That person cleaning your child's school, risking their health during this COVID pandemic, doesn't deserve at least $15 an hour? You're telling me that person that has come to work every single day during this pandemic at your local McDonald's, making $7.25, $8.25 an hour, doesn't deserve $15 an hour? That person who's handing you that food at that drive-thru is risking their health every time someone comes through that line. Many of these workers have died. Maybe you're not hearing it on the news. But there are lots, if not hundreds of workers who have died from the COVID virus because they continue going to work for these poverty wages. There was a mentally challenged woman in South Carolina at the beginning of this thing who kept going to work even though her mom told her she didn't have to. But the woman kept saying she had to go because she felt a duty. She felt a sense of duty to go to her job and do her job to the best of her abilities. And then she got COVID and died. Her family was completely devastated. And what was she going to work for? Less than minimum wage. Because there are certain things that allow businesses to get away with that. Take Goodwill, for example. Yeah, Goodwill employs disabled people. That's great, but they can pay them as low as 19 cents an hour based on their abilities, they say. But the fact is, this was supposed to be in the COVID relief bill. This is what President Joe Biden asked for. But could the Democrats bring it on home for the president who requested this to be taken care of? No. Why? Because of senators like Cinema out of Arizona, and Joe Manchin. You're fake Democrats. And the proof is in how Cinema acted when she gave her vote. She literally went up there and practically did a little dance to give a no vote. Along with, I believe it was 6 other moderate Democrats voted against the $15 minimum wage. Now, I understand the parliamentarian had said that this wasn't likely something that they could do, that it wasn't something that they should be doing in a budget bill, although the CBO had marked it as a budget item. So, at least they got a vote on it. But you got all these Democrats who just said no. Even if at the end they had gotten overruled by the parliamentarian or whatever, or they had ignored the parliamentarian. Either way, they could have at least voted to support the American worker, and they didn't. So unfortunately, the minimum wage increase did not make it into the COVID relief bill. That is one thing that they're going to have a problem when it goes back to the House on Tuesday, and hopefully the House will get over it and move on. That way we get these checks rolling. But I'm sick of these conservative Democrats acting like American workers don't matter. It's disgusting. People like Joe Manchin and the SEMA from Arizona, they make me sick. Because they don't have any ounce of understanding about what other people are going through. In general, the Democratic Party is a party that cares. A party that cares about other people and making sure that their well-being is looked after. Unfortunately, you've got a few that don't see it that way. Anyways, this has been the Big Rant Show. I've been your host, Jacob Keck. I'll see you down the road.